and educating others on organ donation, health advocacy, and the journey to recovery. Then we've got Erica Gordon, who is our spotlight panelist. She's inspiring the next generation. At 21, her powerful voice, resilience, and determination. Her message is very simple yet profound. As you guys know, our young kids, they're just straight to the point. Do not give up. She reminds us that no matter the challenges, perseverance is the key to overcoming them. We're also here for Karen Arnold. She says she's grateful and resilient, and she wants to share her journey. What she said to me when I interviewed her the other night before we prepped was, I am thankful and blessed to be able to share my story. Her perspective reminds us to find the gratitude in every step of the journey, no matter the obstacles. And then we've got Dr. Carmen Posey. I left her for last because she's taking us with a Bible verse. Be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. Standing on faith and resilient, she draws the strength from this verse, embracing her journey with courage and purpose. Next slide. So, what you see here is a picture of Miss Erica Gordon. She was supposed to be here with us tonight, but she had to be put in the hospital last night. I will share her story on her behalf because she still wanted to be here in spirit. She's 21 years old, 21, and she's an Indo warrior. And at this time, if you guys will go ahead and show some emojis in the bottom, some hearts, some clap it ups, we're going to go ahead and turn it over and hear from our panelists. Again, let's welcome our panelists so that we can share and hear their stories. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So first up, we're going to have Miss Karen Arnold, who's going to come on. She's going to share her story and how it impacted her life. And then we'll hear from our other two guests. And then we'll have some dialogue back and forth, some questions and answers. And then we'll also, at the end of the night, we'll open up for any additional questions and answers that you may want to direct directly to the panelists or direct to the audience or share information in the chat. So you guys be active in the chat, stay engaged, but let's go ahead and get started. So Karen, share your diagnosis story and how it impacted your life. All right, can you get off mute? Let's see here. Let me see if I can unmute her. Okay,
Can you hear me
there
now?
she goes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
I When I was in my early 40s is when I first started having issues. I first started swelling all over and didn't really know why. Fluid pills didn't help. And then I started having like flu-like symptoms. My arms, my legs, everything hurt. If I moved, it hurt. If clothes touched me, it hurt. And I went to several doctors. I didn't get any answers. One told me I had chronic pain syndrome, but they didn't want to write pain medicine, which is not what I was after. Seemed like I went to so many doctors and I was told fibromyalgia, but nobody was treating me for anything. They always just wanted to do labs. That's all I ever got. And my husband at the time was not supportive. I mean, it was like, "What's wrong with you now? Why are you always tired?" And I got so depressed during this time it was hard to go on, but I had no choice but to go to work every day. And I finally made an appointment with a doctor a couple hours away. And I went down there and she looked at my labs and she said, "Well, it looks like you may have lupus." She said, "You definitely have a connective tissue disorder." She said, "So let's start treating you for it, see how you respond." So finally, somebody was taking me seriously, not looking at me like I was after drugs. And she started me on a medication. At first, I didn't think it was going to work either. But after about 2 weeks, it started helping. I felt like I could function. I mean, I was coming home from work every day. I'd take a nap during my lunch. I would come home from work, go straight to bed. I had no life. And on weekends, all I wanted to do was sleep. And, but this medicine gave me a little bit of hope. I got where I could get up and go. And my church family really inspired me during this time. I had my Sunday school ladies, they prayed with me, they encouraged me, and I wound up getting a divorce from my husband so that was a big burden off of me because he did not understand, he did not care. All he did was put me down for he said, "You look fine to me. You don't look sick." So um this was that was I was in my early 40s in. I'm 58 now, and I have just changed doctors again, and I really like who I'm with now. They seem to care. They don't look at me like I'm just looking for something. He still thinks it's probably lupus, which I really didn't care what they called it. I just wanted some help, and I wanted somebody to believe me and listen to me and not put me down for feeling bad. And the depression is real during all this because when you got everybody against you, you don't want to get up and move on forward. It was very hard on me, but I'm thankful now that I am doing better. Um, I still try to stay away from a lot of pain medicine. I've learned that the CBD really helps me. It does. So I only take pain medicine when I absolutely have to, which sometimes you just do. That's the only thing that's going to help. But I'm just thankful that I have people that surround me now that care and will help take care of me and not judge me for being sick. So,
Well, I definitely say we're thankful for you sharing your story today. Um, I definitely understand how challenging that can be when you're telling someone something's going on and you just don't want to get up, and it puts you into a depressing mode. I myself dealt with the same thing when I was married, um, because he couldn't see it. So I definitely empathize with you. I understand, and I appreciate you sharing your story. Um, Keep pushing, keep doing what you're doing. And if you need the medicine, take it.
yeah,
Take it
I do.
if you need it.
I just try not to anymore because the more you take, the more it takes to work. So
Yeah,
I try to do
you're,
it minimal.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Karen. You guys clap it up for Karen for sharing her story. We're now going to move on to Shapronica, and Shapronica is going to share her story with us as well.
Hello. So I'll tell you all a brief as I can. I was first diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis in 1994. I'm sorry, it was actually 19. I had gotten out of the service, and so it was around 92. So I got out in 91. I was sick. I had flu-like symptoms. I had a lot of gastrointestinal problems, like a lot of having to go quite frequently, just a lot of discomfort, fatigue. And so I started, when I got out of the Army, I started going to doctors in this area. And they would send me from this doctor to the other around here, the cancer center. They didn't know what was going on. And finally, my mom suggested a doctor in Huntsville, and that's who ended up diagnosing me with autoimmune hepatitis. And then next thing you know, I was ended up being on the transplant list. So my first transplant was in March of 1994. for autoimmune hepatitis. That's liver. So, first transplant was then. So, still, autoimmune disease, you think, well, maybe in my thoughts, I was thinking maybe I won't have to deal with this again.
Mm.
But I have always dealt with the fatigue, even after being transplanted. On and off, I have always dealt with the fatigue. So, what my first doctor that diagnosed me always told me rest was very important. So, I've been married twice before. Those husbands did not understand, they were not supportive. But I'm married for my third time. We'll be married 29 years in July of this year. So, sometimes, I thank God for putting my husband in my life, because everyone can't deal with a person that has autoimmune disease or any type of sickness. So I know when I hit my first transplant, they said, it's a possibility you may need another one down the road. But I thought, oh, surely not. And then I started getting sick. About 2017, I could tell my body was changing. My hair texture was changing. Just the muscle in my body was changing. By 2018, I was in kidney failure. So the autoimmune hepatitis was returning in my liver, but every time I would go for my labs, it was it's almost like it was hiding. It was masking itself. But my kidneys started failing. And then come to find out, my kidneys were failing because of my liver. So when you do have one transplant, that transplant medicine does affect your organs. So between that and the return of the autoimmune hepatitis, my liver and both of my kidneys failed. And so then I had to be retransplanted in 2019, August of 2019, the liver on the 8th and the kidney on the 9th. And so, with a lot of prayer, a lot of support spiritually, I've been maybe at a couple of different churches at different times, but, just family praying and thanking God. My husband and my youngest daughter actually took care of me this last time before I had to be retransplanted, because I was passing out all the time.
Yeah.
So, just I'm just grateful and thankful to be alive. Uh, I I if I didn't have the support system that I had, I wouldn't have made it. Um, the toxins, see, they wouldn't let me do dialysis. UAB kept saying no. And I guess, I don't know, maybe because I was already high risk, but they kept saying no, dialysis. Because the doctors here at the kidney clinic here, they wanted to do dialysis. And UAB said no. So I had to tough it out. That's why I was passing out all the time. And I'm just thankful to God for giving me a another chance, since he's a God of another chance. A lot of times we say second chances, but no, it's like another one and another one and another one over and over again. So I'm grateful and thankful for that. Um, as being on that anti-rejection medicine makes my immune system uh, suppressed, of course, as well as it can be suppressed just with autoimmune diseases itself. But so I do all these extra things, like a fogger use to when we're having company. I fog my house. I use a nasal spray called Covixel to keep away respiratory infections. I swab my nose with betadine to kill bacteria and viruses. Just little extra things that I figured out to do to try to keep myself well and to still be able to be around family, friends, other people, and not just completely live sheltered. And so, stress, well, being that I've been transplanted as many times as I have, I take medication to help manage, as well as I have a therapist, and I do music therapy, just different stress relieving things that I do, whenever I need it. Thankfully, my household is very peaceful. It's not a stressful household because I don't think I would make it if it was. And so just want to encourage everyone that's dealing with autoimmune disease or any type of health condition. Uh, Standing on God's word has always been what has brought me through. Praying, meditating, and just positivity is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, Shaponica. And guys, I used to work with Shaponica. Shaponica was a nurse. I was a nurse's aide, and I never knew she was dealing with any of those things. This lady here is strong, strong. And when I heard what she had, what was going on with the autoimmune hepatitis, I was like, well, I know autoimmune condition. I'm thinking all these other things and didn't really understand. I went and did some research. This woman here is a testimony. Her lifespan should have been 20 years from what they say online.
Mm,
I counted it up since the last time she had a transplant. I got 32 years. I may be wrong, but this lady here is a walking testimony.
mm,
I never knew. Well, I'm telling you, I never knew. I'm working, she working. But I went and did some research on autoimmune hepatitis, and I was like, wow. Why?
mm,
And that's why I texted her the day before yesterday, and I said, you had a liver and a kidney? Now, she had already told me, but that's because I'm researching because I want to understand and
mm,
I want to learn because there's so many autoimmune conditions out there that it's hard to even touch the surface of them because it's so many. But again, thank you so much, Shaponica, for sharing your story. It's greatly appreciated. I know that's going to encourage somebody. But at this time, we're going to talk to Dr. Carmen Posey and let her share her story. You need me to unmute you, Carmen? There you go.
Okay, there
Okay.
it is.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Good evening. I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. Um, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in October of 2018. Initially, my symptoms began in 2006. I was working in a call center, and my right forearm just turned like really red and it swelled. And so since I'm at work, this is a worker's issue. But I told my manager, look, I need to go. I need to go to the emergency room, find out what's going on with me, because look at my arm. And he was like, wow, what happened? I said, I'm just sitting here doing my job. I haven't done anything before I came to work or anything like that. So, it kind of freaked me out. Went to the emergency room. They diagnosed me with tendonitis, wrapped it up, put my arm in a sling, and said, don't use your right hand for 3 to 4 days, no work. And so that's where it started. Went to physical therapy, those little things help here and there. I quit that job and got another job, and it seemed to continue. And then I believe it was like 2008, 2 years later, I was working and my right index finger just dropped. It was completely numb, no feeling, like I couldn't move it or anything. And I'm like, what is really going on with my fingers? Like, what is going on? If you can't move your fingers, you kind of panic a little bit. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just like shaking my hand, trying to get everything back together. And it finally, after a few minutes, it came back. And I'm like, that's weird. Even though I was still experiencing, quote unquote, the tendonitis. So I'm thinking, okay, more to it than just that. So I go to the doctor, explain what happened, put me on muscle relaxers, pain pills. They're always quick to push pain medicine. I'm not looking for pain medicine. I want to know why my fingers are numb. So then move on, my entire right hand just will swell and all my fingers will swell. And I'm wearing compression gloves and I'm going back and forth to the doctor because I really want to know what's going on. The smallest thing that I do creates pain. I can't dress myself. I can't cook. I can't drive. Anything I do with my right hand, it's an issue. I can't function. And at this time, I wasn't even 30 years old yet. So the doctor I had, internal medicine doctor I had at that time, he sent me to all types of specialists. I was a neurologist, a vascular surgeon. I saw a pain specialist for spine, back and spine. All these people wanted to do exploratory surgery on me, which could leave me paralyzed. They did nerve tests. They experimented with medication, and me, I just want to know what's going on. So I'm going along with it for the most part. I refuse to let them do any exploratory surgery, and you're not sticking anything in my spine. That's absolutely a no. I'll live with it. So I continue with this until 2018. I went on a cruise for my 40th birthday, and that's when I had the worst flare I ever experienced. Not only were my hands swollen, my feet and my ankles were swollen. It was so swollen I couldn't put my shoes on. I didn't think I would be able to walk through the airport because I was in so much pain. It was just swollen. And I came back home. I went to my chiropractor because I just needed a visit. And he was like, Carmen, this is the worst I've ever seen you. And I said, this is the worst I've ever felt. He was like, we got to figure this out. And so he took x-rays of my hands, most importantly, because he was feeling my hands and he noticed a nodule on my middle finger. And he was like, how long has that been there? And I was like, I don't know. It's been there. And I couldn't close my hands. Like my hands were so swollen, I couldn't make a fist. My hand, this is as far as I could go. Oh. I could not close my hand. I couldn't do this. So he took x-rays and he was like, this is not my specialty, but this looked like rheumatoid arthritis, but I want you to go see an orthopedic surgeon. So made the appointment, took the x-rays, went to orthopedic surgeon. They did more x-rays. While I'm waiting, got the doctor come in the room. He was like, oh, you got rheumatoid arthritis. You got trigger fingers in your thumbs. You need a rheumatologist. Excuse me? What? Just like that? I've been waiting all these years. He said, we're going to give you steroid injections between each finger just to help with the swelling and the pain that you're experiencing right now, but you need a rheumatologist as soon as possible. So I called my internal medicine doctor right away and was like, can I get an appointment for blood work? Because they're telling me I have rheumatoid arthritis. I don't want to pay a specialist if I don't have to. Like, we need to figure this out. So the next day I did my blood work. After that, my internal medicine doctor called me and was like, you need to come in and talk to me. I go in, he's like, your rheumatoid factor is off the charts. You need a rheumatologist today. And I was like, I have been dealing with this since 2006. It is 2018. Wow. And now somebody is telling me what's wrong with me. Yeah. Like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I just was in a state of shock. And when I finally did get to the rheumatologist, it take a couple of weeks because they're specialists. And he got my blood work and he saw the x-rays. He said, you've been living with rheumatoid arthritis for at least 10 years. Wow. He was like, no one ever talked. I said, no, because it didn't show up in my blood work. He said, someone should have still sent you here, whether it was in your blood work or not. So He put me on all this medicine, Embro, methotrexate, folic acid, like hitting it like at the maximal level, like trying to bring everything down. And I got in my car and I just cried. And I called my sister. My mom was deceased. Those two people gave me the worst. It was a living hell because they did not believe nothing I said out of my mouth. They gaslit me. They talked about me. I just want attention. I want this. I don't want nothing but to figure out what is wrong with me. Something is wrong with me. I don't have to go through these lengths for attention. Like, please. Yeah. And I just told her off. Like, and I just got that off my chest. I had to. But I would tell anyone, don't allow anybody to tell you how you feel. And most definitely advocate for yourself. Because I did that for 12 years. Well, for the first 2 years, I just took it as tendonitis. Yeah. But 10 years, pretty much, I was fighting, trying to figure out what's going on with me.
Right, right. Well, I can definitely understand, and I hear the passion in your voice, and I hear the hurts. Because if you don't have anyone else to support you, your family should support you. So I definitely understand, and that's one of the other reasons that I created Voices of Strength and Hope, so that we do have a community where we can support each other, so that someone doesn't have to go 12 years like yourself with misdiagnosis, and then people thinking that you're needing attention. So I thank you so much for sharing your story. And I totally understand, especially when the medicines they gave you, those are some high level medicines, especially methotrexate. And I know that does something to your body, and especially if they gave it to you at a higher dose. So again, I am grateful. I'm thankful that you came on, and I'm so glad that you fought for yourself and you just didn't continue to go along with what they were telling you because you wanted to feel better or because you don't know. And that's what happens a lot of times when we go to the doctor, because we don't have the medical degrees and we don't have the specialists or all the things that they actually have. We forget to look at ourselves as a whole and try to treat our body. We're letting them treat the symptoms. And that's what they're supposed to do, is treat the symptoms. So don't get me wrong that I'm saying don't let them treat the symptoms. I'm saying that when they give you something and say this is what it is and you're not feeling better, that's when you have to do like you did, Carmen. You had to continue to push and say, look, enough is enough. Enough is enough. So again, I'm so grateful and thankful for you sharing your story. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and read the story from Erica, the one that's in the hospital. So I will be looking down because she sent me a nice little paper here to make sure I can share. And I'm just going to kind of give us a high level of what this 21-year-old young lady is going through at such a young age. We're all older adults and we've already went through the battle. We've already seen some of the pain and we know what it feels like. But could you imagine being 21 years old in the prime of your life when you're supposed to be in college, having fun, doing different things with your family, and you have to work around your body and your illness? So tonight we're missing one of our incredible panelists, Erica. She was currently in the hospital. But in Truth's warrior spirit, she wanted to share her story. At just 21 years old, Erica has been battling endometriosis, a journey that started with painful symptoms at 16, dismissed as normal for years. Despite countless doctor visits and being told to just get pregnant or toughen up, she fought for answers. Could you imagine at 16, 17? Because I was a teen mom. I didn't try to get pregnant, but being told, get pregnant. That's going to make it better. At 20, she underwent surgery, finally receiving confirmation of stage 2 endometriosis. While validation was a relief, it was just the beginning of her fight. Endometriosis is not just pain for periods, it's fatigue, nausea, headaches, bathroom struggles, and the emotional toll of missing out on life. Now, Erica faces the possibility of it spreading to her lungs, thoracic endometriosis. Another battle she is bravely stepping into. Her message to all of us as of last night, because she typed this up last night: stay strong, advocate for yourself, never let anyone minimize your pain. Chronic illness may be invisible, but that doesn't make it any less real. She leaves us with this quote: the strongest people are not those who show strength in front of the world, but those who fight and win battles that others do not know anything about. Jonathan Harnish. And moderator, if you will slide back to Erica's picture, I just want to put her up there one more time. And I want us to just have a moment, everyone on here, and say a silent prayer for her. She's in the hospital with some really intense things going on. This baby's 21 years old, battling like a 40-year-old. And at this time, we will go ahead and ask some questions of the panelists. But thank you so much, moderator. You can turn that off now. All right. And the way that this part will work, just whoever kind of want to just jump in and answer. What were the most challenging symptoms you faced, and how did you manage them? Now, this is despite what you had going on, but how did it challenge you, and how did you manage it? And any of the panelists can jump in and answer. The one, you want to take that question?
I'll take the question.
Okay, thank you, Carmen.
I've had many horrible flares. I think the one that kind of changed my mind, because during all of this was before I was diagnosed. I just had a day where I would do this often, just lay in the bed all the time. I'm tired, I don't feel good. I'm just laying in the bed and I was hurting so bad, and I was just in this bed, and my spirit told me, get up. You've been in this bed too long. This bed gonna kill you. You got to get up. And I mean, get up right now, this moment. And I'm laying here and I'm like, you're thinking like, what is, what is this? Who is this talking to me like this? And I just sat on the side of the bed. Okay, no, get up, stand up. You have to get out this bed. And I stood up. Took me a minute, but I stood up because I was in so much pain. And from that moment forward, I realized that was God speaking to me. That was in my time. And I refuse to lay in the bed like that now. Because I do want to live. I want to live as long as I possibly can, pain-free. And I always go back to that moment when there are days where I just want to crawl back in the bed. What keeps me going, I learned to knit. That's what I'm sitting here doing now, is knitting. I learned to knit, something that keeps my hands moving, and it helps with the swelling, stretching my fingers and everything, my arms. And I exercise. At one point, I was roller skating. So the initial get out, get up was really, it's time for you to start moving your body. And I realized the more I move my body, the less pain I'm in. I may be tired, but at that point, I don't know if I'm tired from the RA or I'm just tired from moving my body. But at that point, it don't matter. I sleep all night, that's for sure. I get my rest. So that initial get up, my spirit speaking to me about that, has pushed me into doing things that I was
you wouldn't have done originally.
Right.
Yeah.
sit at home, watch TV, do
Right.
regular stuff, but I have never been very active. So I'm very much more active than I've ever been in my life now.
And it's funny that you say that because one of the things that, when your body's in pain, the easiest thing is to do is to lay down because it hurts. Um, and the one thing that I've learned from my personal experience and from the education and things that I've studied is that while your body may be in pain, you still have to be physical and move some type of movement, even if it's just walking or if it's just stretching. You know, dynamic stretching is also good for any type of autoimmune. So you have to do something, keep some type of mobility, even if it's just walking around your house. Because if you give up on the activity piece, you'll notice that you start to cramp up and you start to deform all type of deformities and you're having trouble getting up and down and the things that used to work don't work anymore. So it's great that you're keeping your hands active because I know that with RA, those hands are the first things that swell up and you get all the knots on them and they just cripple up. But because you're knitting, moving those fingers and exercising those smaller muscles, it's definitely helping them. So big ups to you. Big ups to you. All right. So we'll go ahead to the next question. Um, have you discovered any specific dietary or exercise practices that help your condition? And Karen or Shaponica, one of you guys can grab that if you want to.
Um, well, I have been, when I came home after the most recent two transplants, they sent me on a Mediterranean diet. It was real, real strict before
Right.
that. They had me like where I couldn't eat any type of fat or anything. I was eating like a sandwich with lettuce. So then, as my liver started working properly, then they told me to go to Mediterranean diet. So I kind of have veered off from that, but I'm getting back to that now.
Would you say it made you feel better, or what
Uh,
caused you to veer away from it? Was it like having to go out
well,
and buy the
just
different things?
well, I'm thinking what made me veer from it was I was so happy to be able to finally eat what I wanted to eat because uh yeah, so it was a process for me to get back to eating a regular
Okay,
like Mediterranean even diet. They were real
got it.
strict at first, and then being I had to have two transplants back to back, I had to stay in the hospital a lot longer. And
Hmm. Hmm.
then yeah, so but now I realize to prevent any further problems, I'm changing my diet.
Okay, okay, all right, okay. So we'll throw this last question to Karen. Um, Looks like, is there a particular moment in your journey that inspired you to keep going? You need to unmute
Can
you.
you
Oh,
hear
there you
me?
go.
Okay. Um, yes, when I was missing my grandkids' programs and stuff at school because I was just too tired or just couldn't go, I had missed out a lot.
Mm,
And so I forced myself to get up and keep going, that I was letting them down. I was hurting them by not going. So that was a big turning point for me, was seeing that I was missing out on so much of my grandkids growing up just because of this, whatever it was that I had. So I just started pushing myself. You just got to keep going no matter what. You got to keep going. Don't let it win.
absolutely, absolutely. I would agree with that. We miss out on so many things, especially kids are growing up quicker and things are not like they used to be. They're not outside riding bikes and stuff. They're doing big world stuff, you know.
Yeah.
They're playing lacrosse, they're in sports, they're moving around. So definitely being there for them. I'm definitely glad that you have your grandkids and it sparked you, it woke you up and saying, hey, I can't miss out on them. I've got to be here. So I've got to get out this bed. I've got to make a change because I want to see them.
Yes.
So not only for them, but for you.
Yes.
And I know that it made you feel better in the end.
It did. It helped just forcing myself to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm going to ask this last question um, for everyone. Just a second here. Let's see here. This question will be to all three of you guys. What advice would you give to someone newly diagnosed with your condition or trying to get diagnosed?
The best advice that I would give would be sometimes you got to get out of this area. Um, for me, if my mom hadn't told me about that doctor in Huntsville, it was a gastroenterologist, and they do have them around here, but they were more familiar with the autoimmune hepatitis in Huntsville. So, whereas around here, it was like I was going from this doctor to that doctor to the other, and then so finally, after the doctor in Huntsville ended up in contact with UAB to get me listed the first time, and second time it was my gastroenterologist and hepatology doctor at UAB to get me relisted. So sometimes, now I'm not saying that uh, none of the doctors in this area know anything, but sometimes they send us through things that aren't necessary. Like I've had bone marrow aspiration for them trying to figure out why my platelet count is low, and it's just going to be low because part of the process of liver disease and then being transplanted, they're still low from the anti-rejection medicine. And so, I have to, most of my specialists, I have several. I even came home on insulin uh, this last two transplants. So all my specialists are mostly at UAB. I do have a couple around here, but most of them are at UAB because I find that's what works for me better.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Dr. Carmen, would you like to answer that same question?
I would say just don't give up on yourself many times you want to, especially when you got not getting an answer. Do not allow these doctors to cause more harm because I think about what if I had allowed these doctors to do exploratory surgery on me? And the vascular surgeon told me, well, if I cut you in your right shoulder area, there's so many nerves there, I could just paralyze you just by the incision. Then why would I let you do that? Like, do I look stupid? So don't do not allow these doctors to play doctor on you. If you don't know, okay, then I'm going somewhere. But cutting on me is not an option. And RA does not require surgery. So I'm so happy I did not allow them to do that. Um, be your biggest advocate. If they don't want to believe you, one thing I would have done is I would not have continued going back to a doctor that didn't believe me, who pushed me away, tried to make it seem like I was just trying to get out of work or, you know, it's all in my head. The neurologist treated me that way. And for whatever reason, I just kept going back there. His physician assistant was nice, but the actual neurologist, he was a jerk. And I just wanted an answer at that point. Um, so if they're not willing to help, are they blowing you off? Go somewhere else. Don't continue to go back. Even if they say, well, come back in a few weeks and no, find you somebody else. Don't allow that messes with your mental health. Don't allow them to play with you like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we're getting really close to time. Karen, did you want to add on to that? We're getting close to time. I want to be mindful of everyone. But Karen, if you want to add to the same question, you definitely can.
Okay. Just don't, if they're not giving you answers, go somewhere else. I mean, because they would run tests on me and tests on me, and it was getting nowhere, and they were doing anything. Told me I had fibromyalgia, but there's nothing I could really do. And then they tested me for MS. And if you're not getting answers from a doctor, find another one. There are doctors out there that can help.
Thank you, thank you. So the one thing that I did hear all three of you agree on and said, do not give up. We've heard that so many times tonight. Do not give up. Do not give up. Do not give up. So take that with you as you move through your journey, no matter what you're doing, whether it be an illness, whether it be education, whether it be work. Do not give up. And I'm also saying that to myself as well. Do not give up because we all have battles, we all have illnesses, and we all have issues. So the thing that these ladies said, all four of them, even though one of them we had to hear through my voice, was do not give up. And so, ladies, I really appreciate you guys coming on here, being the first of my voices of strength. And I hope that you guys continue with me through my 12-step series. We will have 11 more of these type of events. There'll be a different one every month. And I hope that you guys continue and stick in here with me and do not give up on the process. Moderator, if you will go ahead and put my slide back up, and we'll go ahead and move a little bit closer to the end of our presentation. All righty. So I'm not going to really hit on this a little too much because most of that was already spoken to from them, the different symptoms and management. So you can basically go ahead and skip through this slide for me. All righty. So I want to hit here. So some things that they talked about and some things that I am an advocate for. Lifestyle changes and holistic approaches, stress management techniques, mindfulness and meditation, healthy diet and nutrition, regular exercise routine. These are some things that have been proven to help you through your autoimmune and chronic pain. This is where LQ Soul and Wellness can help. I am here to empower you, to guide you, and help you get to your goal. I'm not here to medically diagnose. I am not here to scold you, make you, or do any of those things. But I'm here to help us all get to the goal line of the lifestyle changes and holistic approaches. Next slide. All right, we talked about flare-ups. I'm just going to hit on this real quick here. So a flare-up is basically when your body is acting out like a little bad child. When y'all say, oh, you just been doing too much, you're terrible twos. Your body is fighting against each other. And I want you to hone in on the 25% for physical therapy and exercises. Between that and deep breathing and mindful meditation, de-stressing, exercising, and just taking a moment for yourself, they have really high numbers of how to cope with autoimmune conditions and chronic pain. And these are just some of the things, the percentages of how people deal with them day in and day out. Next slide. The advice for the newly diagnosed. I think our panelists said it really well. They said to educate yourself. They said get you a support network. That's what we're here for, building the voices of strength and hope. Prioritize self-care, advocate for yourself, and communicate, communicate, communicate. Be active in your care. Ask questions, no matter how frustrated the doctor may be. Ask. Work closely with them to develop the best treatment plan. Next slide. This slide here just quickly hones on some dietary and exercise practices. If you can, if your body will allow you, follow an anti-inflammatory diet to reduce inflammation and improve your symptoms. Now, everybody's stomach, and depending on what you're going through and your body may be different, but sometimes if you look at anti-inflammatory foods, it will definitely help you out. Engage in some resistance training at least 2 times a week to build muscle and improve your bone health. Simple. Sounds like a lot, but it's fairly simple. Next slide. This slide here is just some helpful resources that you guys can look up and use. Um, the Beginner Guide for Mindfulness, Anxiety and Depression Associated of America, and the Calm app. There are several other apps and different resources that will be listed in the chat for you guys to gather and take away from this meeting. But this is 3 helpful resources that I find very helpful for your journeys. And the moderators are putting those links in the chat for you guys now. Next slide. All righty. So I want to kind of end us up a little bit with the path to success is to take massive, determined action by Tony Robbins. This means that real transformation in health and well-being doesn't happen by chance or small, inconsistent efforts. It requires intentional, committed action. 1, a massive action in wellness. Example, if you're managing your symptoms, small diet changes may help, but a full commitment, that's what this is about, a commitment. A full commitment to lifestyle adjustments will lead to real results. 2, a determined action in overcoming challenges. When facing setbacks like you're tired, lack of motivation, it's easy to pause and give up because it's easier to lay down than it is to get up. But success comes from pushing through with adjustments and consistency. If a workout is too intense for you, move at your own pace. Do what's good for you. Creating space and mindfulness and de-stressing is perfect. Number 3, apply it today. Whether you're a participant or a panelist, think about one area of your wellness journey where you need to take bold, consistent action. What is one step you can take today that aligns with your long-term health goals? And I say long-term because we're so quick to want a quick fix. We want to fast, we want to detox. I'm not against any of those things because I can tell you, I believe in being assisted with the journey, but you have to be committed to your journey. Everything requires work. Everything requires work. And that is why this quote is so meaningful. And as we leave here today, I want you guys to really think about what I said and think about this quote as you move forward. Next slide. So at this time, we have just a little bit here. Q&A. Are there any questions in the chat for our audience or for our panelists? Are there any questions, moderators?
None at this time.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Next slide. All righty, so what is Ella Cube doing? As you guys know, I'm up and coming. I'm always trying to make sure we can do some things. So these are a couple of events that you will see from Ella Q. We're already planning your session 2, food and nutrition for autoimmune. And then we're going to have some music therapy, jazzy nights, as well as we're going to have the 7-day Move and Improve, Strength and Mobility Kickstart. As well, I have my all services that I have. All of these things can be found on my website, as well as on my Facebook page, which is in the actual chat. So I'm looking forward to spending more time with you guys. I do have one final gift. I am giving away a 3-month membership where you guys will get stretch and mobility or dance fitness. You'll also get meal planning if that's what you need, weekly check-ins, but it does require a 3-month commitment. You would need to like the Facebook page, join the Facebook private group, and then if you enter a number between 1 and 100, that lets me know that you're committed. And you don't have to do it on the chat today because I will announce the winner within 7 days. And again, this is at no cost to you. This is just asking you to commit to the long-term changes and let's watch the results together. Next slide. Thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed this first session. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys for showing up for me, as well as showing up for the panelists and showing up for yourself. If there's anything that you guys would like to talk about in the future, or you have any type of recommendations, feel free to send me a text if you have my personal number. You can Facebook me because I'm always on there. You can message me on my Sequetta at laqsoulwellness.com, as well as you can reach me on my Facebook page. And again, everyone have a blessed night, and you guys give it up again for the panelists. And thank you guys so much. Again, this is my passion. This is what I love to do. And I'm so glad I was able to share it with you guys. And stay tuned. God bless. I can't figure out how to end this.